I was holding this shard in my hand, admiring it. Out loud, I heard a voice. Out loud, this voice said, "Make it into jewelry." From the potter's standpoint, our Mother Earth provided the materials and elements used for these pots. The clay came from our Mother Earth. The pigments that they used to paint these pots were from Mother Earth. Plants and rocks and various resources from our Mother that were provided to us. And this is what the potters used to create their finished piece, their pottery. And so a lot of these pieces that are left back in the ground in Mother Earth were left behind from these potters many years ago. So I use these in my work as inspiration to create finished pieces of jewelry. I started silversmithing about 8 years ago. And about a year and a half into my career, this idea came to me to capture some of our history and culture. So what I do is I take these ancient pottery shards that I find on the Pueblo. These are from our Anasazi ancestors. They date back somewhere around 800 to 1200 AD. As I hand tool the silver, sterling silver, to capture a replica for each of these shards. First started silversmithing, I learned the basics from a jeweler at a school who taught me the basics, and then I had the fortune of learning from a couple of individuals. One of them is my cousin, Lance Daya, who taught me how to do the overlay technique, which is what I use here. You basically take two pieces of silver and sweat solder them together until they become one solid piece. But the other person is Greg Lewis. Greg Lewis is a well-known master silversmith. He's been smithing, gosh, probably about 50 years. And once I've sold the original jewelry, I take these ancient shards back to the canyon where I found them. I bury them in the place where they came from. A lot of times what will happen is when they fire these pottery in the ground, they don't always come out as a finished piece. They crack or they break in the ground. So a lot of these fragments were buried underneath the soil for hundreds of years. And when the rains and the snow and the sleet and the hail come, it disturbs the surface of the ground and these pieces surface to the top. Some of them were used for ceremonial purposes and the pots were intentionally broken. Some of them came out of the ground as a finished pot. They were used for many years until they cracked and no longer served a purpose. Then they were left behind. And so that's how these fragments were left behind, just as you see here, the way that I found them. I've seen people take silver and wrap it around the shard and hang a bale and wear it as a necklace. I've seen people drill holes in them and put string in them and wear them. But two things that I knew I couldn't do that with this is, one, the federal law, of course, protects these shards from being sold. The other thing was the ethical thing and the respect of honoring our ancestors and where these came from, that I couldn't sell these. After I heard this voice that said, "Make it into jewelry," I looked up and I said, "I cannot do that. How can I do this?" And after I said that, I was shown that if I hand tool the silver, I could create a replica. So I did it with that shard, that very first shard. I created a pendant. And this piece took me about 2 weeks to make. In fact, a lot of my clients tell me that when they pick up these pieces at my shows and they handle the shards and the jewelry, they can feel that energy that is in the clay itself. And some people can feel that life that was once put into this piece. This whole idea was just a huge blessing for me. Like I said, I was fairly new as a career, as a silversmith in my career, and this idea was given to me as a gift from the Creator.